Okay, we're going to take a look at midpoint and endpoint. So a couple things here. It said find the midpoint of 3 and 7 on a number line. So if I have a number line here, I have this number line, and we're going to put some numbers on here. So here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if I'm looking at 3 and 7, what's the midpoint? Midpoint of 3 and 7 would be 5. Okay? How do I know it's 5? It's in the middle, right? Okay. Now, define midpoint. Okay? Okay? Easy term, middle number, right? So, it's the point equidistant to the endpoints, or to both endpoints. Okay. The point equidistant. Okay. Let's go back to this. Okay, this is pretty easy. We can just see it, right? Mathematically, how do we find it? Okay, so this is where we're going to make the application to make it easier for harder problems. How do I find that mathematically? Because I don't want to make a number line for 5 and 21, right? I'm not going to do that. Okay, that's too much work. So how can I take 3 and 7 and find the value of 5 in the middle?
Divide it?
No. Divide what?
7 and 2. I'm almost there.
Kind of. Kind of.
The number you have to
I will tell you you have to divide. Okay.
3, 11, 7,
What? So think about 5. Okay. If 5 is being, if 5 is the answer to some division, what does that number have to be before that? Before I divide. What's another way to think about the middle value? Think about tests. Okay. If you get 100 and you get a 50, make it easy. Okay. What's your average? 75. Well, how do you know that? It's in the middle, right? So what do you do to find the average of something? Well, how do we find the average of something? How do we find the average? Add them and divide by 2. Okay? So to find the average of something, you're going to add them up and then divide by however many we have. In this point, we're only going to have 2 numbers. Okay? We're only going to have 2 numbers. So when we look here, determine the midpoint of 5 and 21. Okay? Well, we can kind of use this kind of as a formula. Okay? We have 2 numbers. We're going to add them. And then we're going to divide it by 2. So 5 plus 21 is 26. Half of 26 is 13. So 13 is going to be my midpoint. Okay. Finding the average. Add them, divide by 2. So if I have the midpoint of -2 and 7, again, what do we do?
-2
What is negative 2 plus 7? 5. Half of 5 is 2.5. So can we have decimals? Yes. Aaron, you can. Yes, you can.
And you'll always add the two numbers.
You always add the two numbers. Okay, and then divide by 2. Alright, so here it gets a little harder. It gets a little harder. So it says determine the midpoint of a line. Okay, the line goes from 1, 3 to 5, 7. So now we have coordinates. Okay? So what are we going to do?
Add 1 and 3.
No.
Nope, you add 1 and 5.
Yes.
You add 3 and 7. You divide this by 2.
So take,
But that's not smart. It's just like this.
so keep your x's and y's separate.
It's not that easy.
Okay? So we have an x and a y. Alright, so we're going to have two separate equations. Our x's are going to be one equation. 1 plus 5 divided by 2. Our y's are going to be a separate equation. 3 plus 7 divided by 2. So 1 plus 5 is what? 6. 6 divided by 2, or half of 6 is 3. Okay? So that's my one coordinate. My x coordinate is 3. My y coordinate, 3 plus 7. 3 plus 7? 10. Divide by 2. 5. Second y value is 5. So my midpoint is 3, 5. Okay? So, we want to put this in terms of a mathematical formula. Okay? Midpoint equal to, and I'm going to write it in parentheses just like our point. So we're going to take our x values and add them together. So x1 and x2, those sub 1s and sub, those are nothing more than saying this is 1 and this is 2. Okay? They're just two different values. Okay? Your y values then for the formula, y1 plus y2. And again, 1 and 2 are nothing more than telling you that they're different from different coordinates. Okay? Questions on that? So again, so number 5, if we actually use this formula now, we plug our values in. X, Y, X, Y. Okay? I'm going to do this 2 times. Okay? To show you that it doesn't matter what order you put them in. Okay? So if I look here, so I have negative 2 and 3 divided by 2, and 5 plus negative 4 divided by 2. Okay? So negative 2 plus 3 is 1. So I have 1/2. 5 plus negative 4 is 1. So I end up with 1/2, and again I can just leave them as fractions, that's okay. So this point 1 and point 2, it doesn't matter which one you put in the front. You'll get the same type of answer, okay? As long as everything stays and you solve it correctly. So if I took and switched those points, okay? So now I have 3 plus negative 2 divided by 2, and negative 4 plus 5 divided by 2. Again, you don't have to write this second one down if you don't want to. Okay, it's just showing you that point 1 and point 2 doesn't matter. So 3 minus 2, 1 over 2. Negative 4 plus 5 leaves me with 1. So 1 over 2. And again, you get the same midpoint. Okay, so it doesn't matter what point you put first and what point you put second, as long as these x's are together and the y's are together on top. Alright, flip it over to the back. So we have these problems now. So now we have a number line. Okay? Now they're giving us the midpoints. Okay? And one of the endpoints. And we have to find the other endpoint. Okay? So, I'm going to show you what I think is the easiest way to do this. Okay? So the easiest way to do this is to make a little picture, a little drawing. 5 is my midpoint. 8 is one of my endpoints. Where's the 8 go? To the left of the 5 or to the right of the 5? To the right. Why is it to the right?
Because it's numbers going up.
Well, one, it's an endpoint, but the other side's an endpoint as well.
Numbers are going up.
But yeah, numbers increase to the right. Okay?
It's 2, right?
Now, what happens here? Okay? What am I doing to go from 8 to 5? Subtracting what? Well, yeah, 3. So 8 minus 3 is 5, right? Again, if 5 is in the middle, what do I need to do to get to the other end? Same thing, subtract 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. It's that easy. Right? It's that easy. Okay, so that's as easy. That's how easy it can be. Okay, now listen. Okay, so don't make it harder than what it is. Now, some people like formulas. Okay, I'm going to show you the formula for the process mathematically. Okay, so if you like that method, you can do this every single time. That's option number 1. Okay, so here's option number 2. Okay, now listen. Listen. Again, to find the middle value, we add them together and divide by 2, right? So I'm taking my endpoints. I have one I don't know. The other one is 8. And dividing it by 2 to equal 5. Okay? Now this process is pretty much the same all the time as well. Okay? So I'm going to multiply by 2. Always multiply first. And then I'm going to subtract the endpoint given. So minus 8, minus 8. So x equals 2. However you want to do that. Okay? So you can count it with drawing a little picture. You can use our formula that we talked about earlier, add them and divide by 2. Okay? Does anyone like this little formula thing, mathematically? You guys like the picture? Yeah, picture's easier, I think. Okay? So let's take a look at 7. So again, here's the problem is you have to draw this picture and put numbers on there. So what's my midpoint? 20. That's where I would start. Now, what's the end point? 3. So it's going to go on the left because it's smaller, right? So now we're going from 3 to 20. What do I do? Adding what? 17. So then I need to do what again? Add 17 to 20. 20 plus 17 is? 37. And we're done. And that's my other endpoint. Okay? Easy until I get a worksheet. Alright. So here's the problem here. Here's the problem here. If I have coordinates, I kind of have to do this twice. Okay? Does that make sense? So I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to do my x's, and then I'm going to do my y's. So I'm drawing my picture. Midpoint is 3 for my x's, right? Endpoint is 5. It's going to go over here to the right. So now I'm going backwards. 5 to 3 is what? minus 2. So 3 minus 2 is what? 1. So my midpoint x value is 1. And now I need to do the same thing for my y values. So I'm going to draw my picture. Again, midpoint is 7. Endpoint is 10. Again, it's going to be to the right because it's bigger. I'm going back. 10 minus what gives me 7? 10 minus 3 is 7. So 7 minus 3 is 4. My y value, so my midpoint is 1, 4. Okay? I'm not even going to show you the other process because you do this twice. Alright, try number 9, and then we'll check it up here on the board in a minute. Alright, number 9. Who's got my answer for number 9?
I didn't read that, by the way.
What is it? 8 and what? 1. So 8 and 1. So let's take a look here real quick. Okay. Okay. 0 is my midpoint. And negative 8 smaller than 0. So I'm adding 8 here. Adding 8. So 0 plus 8 gives me 8 for my x. Y's. Same process. 0, negative 1, so I'm adding 1, adding 1, so 0 plus 1, 1, 8, 1 is my solution. Okay? Stay with me. 3 more minutes. Alright, Jamie wants to sell her car for $2,300. Jack offers to buy the car for $1,800. After negotiating, they decide to meet in the middle. What is the price on the in the middle going to be then? Okay? So again, how do we find the price in the middle? How do I find the average then? I have 1,800 and 2,300. How do I find that? Divide it. But what do I need to do first? Add it. So 1,800 plus 2,300, and then divide that by 2. Right? So what's 1,800 plus 2,300?
2,050.
Oh.
That's gonna be a good year.
What's 1,800 plus 2,300?
4,100.
4,100. And then divide that by 2.
2,050.
What is it?
2,050.
$2,050. Okay.